Now, I had mentioned before that synthetic only works if it's x plus a number or x minus a number, or whatever your variable happens to be. Your variable to the first power plus or minus a number. Well, we can't directly, initially, do synthetic on this without doing a little bit of work. Now, I'll show you how it can be done, but some of you may choose when you get to these problems just to do longhand. So if it's not specifying on which method you have to use, some of you may just prefer to do longhand division. Now, we have our initial problem, and it's being divided by this. So to get our y, to get rid of the 2, we have to get rid of that timesing by 2. So we're going to divide everything by 2. Well, if I divide everything over here by 2, I then also have to divide this first part also by 2. So if I simplify this down, I would get this. Now, since it's my variable plus or minus a number, I can do synthetic. So I take this part right here, set it equal to 0 and solve it, and I get y to be 1/2. So I'll put 1/2 in my half box. And then I need to put down my coefficients and constants here. But notice I'm missing my cubed, so I'll have to put in a 0 as a placeholder. And then, once again, all we have to do is multiply, or add and multiply. So I'll add down. 1/2 times 2 is 1. Add down. 1/2 times 1 is 1/2. -5/2 plus 1/2 would be -2/2. Well, -2/2 is -2. Then all I have to do is multiply. 1/2 times -2 is -1. 1 plus -1 is 0. And then I can multiply. 1/2 times 0 is 0. And then I can add down. So I get a remainder of 2. So I had a y to the 4th divided by a y. Well, y to the 4th over y is y cubed. So I have a 2y cubed plus 1 of the y squareds, because I keep going down by 1 power of y. And then I have a -2 of the y to the 1st. And then I have no constant. Then I need to go plus my remainder over my divisor. So I'm going to go plus my remainder over my divisor. Now remember, I was dividing by this here. So that's what I have. Now as you look at this, you'll notice what we have here is we have a fraction of 1/2 in the bottom of a fraction. In other words, we have a fraction in a fraction, which we're not real crazy about. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take this fraction and multiply by a special form of 1. Now my denominator is 2 here, so I'm going to multiply the bottom by 2. But if I multiply the bottom by 2, I got to multiply the top by 2, because I can only multiply by a special form of 1. So 2 times 2 is my 4. 2 times the y is 2y. 2 times my 1/2 is this. Now I multiplied by 1 only to this fraction, so it did not affect anything over here. Now if you wanted, you could have also multiplied this by 2 over 2, but it still would have simplified down to all this here. So I get this as my answer. If you do longhand division, you will get the same thing. So try this one on your own and then watch the video. Divide everything by 2, simplify it down, take what's after your y, or y plus 1/2, set it equal to 0, put down all your coefficients and constants, remembering your placeholder because you're missing your cubes. And then you're going to multiply, or add, multiply, add, multiply, add, multiply, add, multiply, add. Then you're going to write this out. we had a y to the fourth over a y to the first, which is a y cubed, so we get an 8y cubed minus a y, 4y squared, and so on. And then we end up with a fraction over a fraction multiplied by a special form of 1. To find the special form of 1, you look at what it is you're dividing by in your fraction, which is 2, so we're going to multiply by 2 over 2. 7 divided by 2 times 2 is 7. 2 times the y, 2 times the half, and we're done.